All right, also this afternoon, a recent study shows more than 1 million kids in the U.S. fell victim to identity fraud. In 2017, 1 million kids. We're talking about ways to make sure it doesn't happen to the children in your life for today's In Depth. All right, Tom Jelneck is joining us today. Tom is the CEO of On Target Web Solutions. Thanks for coming in today, Tom. Appreciate it. This is an important topic, too. Something that parents may not realize. Right. Child identity fraud. Is it a problem?
It's becoming an immense problem, actually. And parents, unfortunately, aren't even realizing this or picking up on it. So it's really something we need to talk about.
Why is it that they don't know?
They don't know because a lot of times they're not even checking their children's credit. Mm-hmm. I think the thing is, as soon as we go get our kids a Social Security number, that meter's running, right? And as a parent, my 8-year-old daughter isn't running out to buy a Porsche, right? So we're not getting our credit pulled, and they're not getting, they're not applying for credit cards, etc.
So do they have credit? Does an 8-year-old have credit? I mean,
no, but it starts with that Social Security number. So once that starts, allegedly there's a credit report that would start to build just because you've taken out that Social Security number. So that's really what's becoming a very volatile, potentially volatile situation, where crooks can take a social, open an account in your child's name, apply for mortgages in your child's name. That's terrifying.
That is very scary.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, how are they getting it? Because we're living in a very digital world these days.
Right. So the scenario is this, your children are getting online at a much earlier age, right? They're creating social media accounts. A lot of them have email addresses because as parents we think it's cute that, little Susie has her own email address. But the problem is that a lot of the children don't really know how to use this and aren't, aware of stranger danger when it comes to online.
Well, it's video gaming too. I mean, because when they're on these video games, I mean, I'm going to age myself. We're talking about Sega Genesis.
Right, I remember
That's what I remember,
right.
And Nintendo.
Right.
You didn't have to give your personal information on that.
Almost every game now that the kids are playing on apps and on their phones is requiring you to sign up for something, right? And typically it's semi-harmless. It's typically a company trying to get some marketing data out of your kids. Terrifying, that's a whole other story for another day. But a lot of times kids are downloading viruses without knowing it, which is allowing crooks to infiltrate a computer and potentially start stealing more and more info. What they do is they build a profile on your child and start using it for their own personal gain.
That's scary.
Happens every day.
Every day?
Every day.
Wow. We're talking with Tom Jelneck. He is the CEO of On Target Web Solutions, talking about a topic that is a very serious problem, as he was just talking about, child identity fraud. And typically these bad guys are going after the most vulnerable. Right. We hear a lot about it with seniors. But would you say children are also in that vulnerable?
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot more of it. The instances of identity theft for children is actually way higher if they've been cyber bullied, which is really fascinating. So we're seeing crooks bully a child and or take their identity and use their identity to bully other kids. So you start getting two victims here, which is snowballing. And that's a really ugly scenario as well.
Cyberbullying. That's I never would have thought about that. I mean, talk more about that.
So you set up an email address or a social media account, and a cyber bully can take that account, go find photos of you, build an account that mimics yours, start to cyber bully other kids, and it looks like it's your child who's doing the bullying. So not only do other kids get hurt, but your own child, it looks like a criminal. So that's happening as well.
What's your advice for parents then?
I think you got to have a talk. You got to talk to the kids about stranger danger online, about how much stuff they disclose on their accounts. I know this is hard, but I'd really advise parents to set up two-step authentication on your kids' email addresses where you're getting notified that they're logging in. You have to be a bit of a creeper as a parent now and start paying attention to what your kids are doing online and how much they're disclosing.
What do we need to look for as a parent?
So I would advise parents, check your kids' credit. You can do that, right? As a guardian, you can do that. Certain states have rules that apply to different things, but also you can freeze your children's credit if that becomes a concern, so that nobody can pull credit or actually, go apply for anything in your child's name.
And that credit freezing is something that's been more and more popular over the past few years, in fact. When should it be, how long should it be frozen for? I mean, till we're 16, till we're 18? Because at 16, some people, you get your driver's license, you want to buy your first car. So what is your suggestion when it comes to that?
So I think, obviously, at a very reasonable age where your child may be starting to build a credit profile, that's when you want to go ahead and pull that off. But we still need to be vigilant. Even if your identity was stolen a couple years ago, crooks can still have access to that and keep building it. So vigilance is really the key here, paying attention to credit reports and getting that free annual credit report.
Well, the lasting effects of identity theft,
terrible.
And it is very lasting, as a matter of fact. I mean, it can last years. So if it's happening earlier, who knows? I mean, you don't even want to think about how long that could last.
No, in fact, we're seeing it with medical as well, where people are stealing other people's Social Security and getting procedures done with your Social Security number, which you start getting all these medical bills in the mail, and where did these come from? But this is a really long tail problem.
Child identity theft, child identity fraud, a very scary topic, important topic. So certainly, if you're a parent, we hope that this will give you a bit of an oomph to check your child's Social Security number for certain. All right, Tom Jelneck, thanks for coming in to talk about this.
You're
Appreciate
very welcome.
it.